All right, I'm gonna take us off the stage real quick. What do you got, Coach? 3 things that all coaches need. Who would you put on your Mount Rushmore of coaches?
New York or the Aces? Definitely going with the Aces.
All right, 4th down. Who has the tougher job, coaches or officials? If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? But Texas is different. All right, Coach Brooks, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Listen, everybody, we are back. This is episode 9 of the Coaches Co-op. I need to remind y'all that coaching is a labor of love. It is a labor of sharing. Coaching is more than a job. All right. It's actually a calling. And we got a coach on the podcast tonight who is actually called. So y'all, welcome to the Coaches Co-op. I'm your host. My name is Coach P. And we're pulling back the curtain to chat with the amazing coaches who shape the world of athletics. Listen, tonight's guest is Mr. Warren Brooks, but his mama called him Tiger, so we're going to call him Tiger.
Hey, let's go.
All right. Born and raised in League City, Texas, married with 3 wonderful children. He is currently the head coach at Deer Park High School on the girls' side, and this is year number 16 in education. Coach Brooks, welcome to the Coaches Co-op.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Man, Coach, I am glad you're here. So before we dive in and get into all of this stuff, man, so let's first thing, let's do this. Let's do some way too early WNBA predictions. All right. Way too early WNBA predictions. They've only played 2 or 3 games. Can the Las Vegas Aces three-peat?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like they're gonna run it back for sure. They got all the right pieces.
Who do you think is the toughest competition for them?
Man, either the New York Liberty, they look pretty solid. Sabrina, what's the other? Brianna Stewart out there. They kind of clicking a little bit right now. So I'm impressed with the Liberty too. So I think that might be their biggest comp.
Okay. So let's do a little over under. Caitlin Clark, season average, over or under 17?
I'm gonna go over.
Okay. Over under Las Vegas Aces, 34 wins.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm about to go under on that. Just 34 wins is a lot for them, but not too far under.
Okay. Last one. We're gonna go over under. Asia Wilson, 20 double-doubles.
I'm gonna take the over on that one.
Okay. Not bad, Coach, man. She is a phenomenal. Having the opportunity to watch her play in person a couple of years ago, man, her conditioning, the level of her conditioning is, I think that's probably the thing that impressed me the most, on top of how skilled she actually is. All right, Coach. Eastern Conference Finals kicks off tonight. Game will probably be tipping off in a few minutes. The Celtics and the Cavs. Let's go over under. Let's go over under again. All right. Over under. Wins for the Pacers. 1. You're going over or under?
Under. I feel like they're about to get swept. I'm not gonna lie.
Man, Coach, when I watch them play, I do not think that is a good NBA basketball team.
Not at
I just
all.
don't.
It's just the man. I don't know. It's the East just back how it was when we were younger, man. It's back to being that little soft stuff, and it's just the Celtics are just better than everybody, and really the Pacers shouldn't even win the last series. The Knicks a little beat up,
Right.
key
I agree.
injuries, and nah, man, Pacers not impressive at all to me.
All right. So in the Western Conference, I've been alluding to this already. Man, the Dallas Mavericks, I think, have a legitimate chance to win the NBA title. Okay. So the Dallas Mavericks win. I've been saying this. Dallas Mavericks win. And then somebody mentioned to me that the hockey team in Dallas is still playing as well, but I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to that. So
Yeah,
if the Mavs win, you had the Mavs with the NBA title, you got the Texas Rangers with the World Series title. Like I tell everybody, the Dallas Cowboys don't actually have to win anything to stay relevant. So if the
true.
Mavericks win, we're talking about Dallas, Texas being title town. Okay. So with that being said, this series, who you got? The Mavericks or the T-Wolves?
Man, I've been riding with the T-Wolves since that first series, kind of watching them play. So I'm gonna stick with the T-Wolves, man. Their defense, man, they get after it on defense. And my boy Ant, he's on a whole nother level right now. I don't know. It's gonna be a good series. I think the Nuggets series with them was the best so far, and I think this Mavericks one's probably gonna be either the best or second best we've seen this year. So
Yeah, I think that'll be a good series. I'm a Lakers fan, so I've been crying in my cereal for a while now. But I'm definitely, man, I'm glad. I'm gonna just go home and be a hater right here. I'm glad Denver lost. And I was wrong. I didn't think anybody could beat Denver. I really didn't. But then, man, they were kind of some sore losers, man. I wasn't
a little
really
bit, yeah.
wasn't really excited about that, man. One hit wonders. All right, coach, man. So that's just a little little break the ice, a little WNBA NBA talk, making some predictions there. So from League City, Texas, you grew up in a competitive household with the love of sports. You played high school at Clear Creek for the late Buddy Carlisle. So for those who may not know or may not be from the Houston area, they may not know a whole lot about Buddy Carlisle. Talk about Coach Carlisle for a second, Coach.
Oh man, coach, he was he's one of the probably better high school coaches, that I've ever experienced, whether playing for, interacting with, and definitely a legend here in League City. Got a court named after him, all that good stuff. I know he had a brother who coached as well. Dad has the gymnasium named after him. So definitely a basketball family. He played at Baylor. So definitely a lot of knowledge. He was funny though. He definitely tried to push us to be our best. But the funny thing about him, one day he came to me and he's like, Tiger, I got this assist record and I need you to break it. And I was like, Coach, how many assists did you average a game? He was like, just nonchalantly, he was like 10. And I was like, Coach, I'm not averaging 10 assists a game, man. I'm gonna try my best, but 10 a night, that's tough. Like that means damn near every pass I make, they're gonna have to make the shot. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So I got about 5.5, 6. So not quite 10, but other than that, man, he was just cool to be around, cool to talk to. And one crazy story to add to that, my senior year, he ended up getting throat cancer, so he missed a couple games. But he was just somebody I could talk to about anything. He definitely pushed me to be the best version of myself as a basketball player I could be. So I enjoyed every moment of playing basketball there for him. So rest in peace to him for sure.
That's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Rest in peace to the late Buddy Carlisle. Still going through your bio here. So you attended Southern University briefly for a year.
Yeah.
So I'm a Southern University graduate. My wife is a Southern University graduate. Her parents and my parents are Southern University graduates. We are defenders of the blue and gold in this household.
Sir.
So, man, is your family a Southern family?
Man, my dad graduated from there, which is the main reason why I went. So Bayou Classic, that was a thing we did every year until high school sports started. So we started missing it
Okay.
then. But definitely, man. See, my dad, couple of uncles on my mom's side went to Southern. Just Baton Rouge, man, is where it's at. And I thought I wanted to be an engineer like my dad. So I was like, I'm just gonna follow in his footsteps, go to Southern.
Okay. At the
And
PBS Pinchback School of
Yes,
Engineering.
sir. Yes, sir. Did it for a year, and I was like, all right, just some things happen. I have a younger brother, so I missed out on a lot of his stuff. So I was like, man, I need to come back home, be able to enjoy his life growing up too as well, and transferred to U of H. Got into one of those big auditorium classes, like 300 kids, had a foreign professor, didn't understand what was going on. I was like, Dad, engineer's not for me, man. I can't do it. And he's like, whatever at the end of the day, you gotta create your own path. So when chopped it up with my counselor, she kind of asked me my interest. She knew I was really into sports and talked to me about becoming a teacher. And rest is history after that, man.
Okay. So the rest is history. 16 years in education. You've now been a head coach for 4 years. So, Coach, how or when did you know that you wanted to coach?
Like I said, I thought the engineering thing was my thing, but there was a little piece of me. It really started my junior year of high school. My younger brother was playing AAU, so I actually got to be the assistant coach of his AAU team. So he was 10 at the time. So I'm like, man, I'm 16 trying to coach a bunch of 10-year-olds, trying to figure this out, but we had so much fun. And I was like, man, I think I could do this. And then a couple years passed, got hooked up with another AU team, ended up coaching my brother again and some of his friends as ninth graders. And then I realized, I was like, you know what, I can do it. Then kind of just started going and working different camps and kind of going back and watching a bunch of high school basketball games with coaches that I got the opportunity to play against, and then kind of started asking questions. And next thing I know, ended up back at the junior high. I actually graduated from to start my coaching career, and then kind of just took the steps necessary from there.
Okay, so we got similar stories. So I actually I always knew I wanted to be a coach. I did something else, but then when I finally started coaching, I was actually coaching my younger sister. So that's how I started coaching, that's how I started coaching girls, because never in my life did I think I would be coaching young women. So you just mentioned, that you started at your junior high, and you have coached boys. So two-part question. Number one, how did you end up coaching girls? And then the second part is, for somebody who has coached on both sides, the boys and the girls, what's the difference in your opinion?
All right, so the first part, honestly, same thing. I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to coach females. I just don't see myself doing it. And back to Coach Carlisle, man, we kept in touch. He knew, what I was trying to get myself into. And he'd always send me a text. He's like, hey, I really think you could coach girls. And I was like, man, there's no way. Like, I don't know the first thing about trying to coach females. And at this point, I didn't have any kids yet, so it was me and my wife. And even she was like, I don't know about you coaching girls. Like, it's just because my question was, how do I talk to them pregame? Like, where do we go? Do I go in the locker room? Like, how does this work?
Yeah.
And so, man, every time I applied for a boys head coaching job, didn't get it. He's like, I'm telling you could do girls. End up having a daughter. So now I'm like, well. All right, I'm interacting with her. I think I'm figuring out this young lady thing. Had another daughter. I was like, all right, man, maybe the Lord's sending me a sign. So I applied for the Clearbrook job. End up getting a job. But I know the biggest question that everybody asked was, how can you make that transition? And the one thing Buddy always told me was, at the end of the day, they're athletes. So treat them like athletes. They want to be coached up. And then we went from there. And next thing I know, 4th year in the game as a head girls basketball coach. And to answer the second part of that question, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm never going back to the boys' side. I feel like these days, man, you got to have some super long resume to impress them. And they think they know everything. Girls, you ask them to do something, for the most part, 99% of the time they're going to do it. Sometimes exactly the way it needs to be done, which ain't always a good thing because you need to deviate. But they listen,
Right.
they want to please you. As long as they know you care, like they'll run through a wall for you. And it's also nice because, like I said, with my two daughters, man, they kind of look up to a lot of my players and they enjoy being at the games too. So it's I enjoy it.
I echo those sentiments. You used a lot of the same terminology that I use when people ask me what it's like coaching girls, versus coaching boys, because I had the opportunity to coach boys, coaching, select ball, club ball. And I think girls are tougher. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think girls are tougher than guys. When they know you care, they will absolutely run through a wall for you, and at the end of the day, like the advice Coach Carlisle gave you, at the end of the day, they're athletes and they like competing and all of those things that, that boys like, that people don't think girls like. They enjoy competing at the end of the day. Coach, that is awesome. Coach, just real quick, if anybody, let me say this, I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know. I think I'm 0-2 against Coach. I'm pretty sure I'm 0-2. For some reason, I just kind of like, man, team's very, very, very disciplined. I want to say we lost to you one year, and then the next year I was like, okay, I think we got a little bit better team this year. And then I want to say we were up for like the first quarter and a half. Yeah. And the last thing I remember in that game is I was sitting on the bench laughing because y'all were just whooping us, man. And one of my starters came over and just like, why are you laughing? This isn't funny. And I'm like, no, this is what else am I going to do right now? There's absolutely nothing going right in this game. So I'm just laughing. But I just went on a tangent there, as I am known to do. Coach, if anybody wants to just follow you, because you are a good coach, where can they find you?
My Twitter, man, I'm actually been on Twitter a lot more these last few years. I kind of had a Twitter, forgot I had one, didn't really post on it. Then I was like, everybody uses Twitter. So one of my former players, actually, she was like, Coach, you gotta up your Twitter game, man. So helped me out a little bit with that. That and Instagram. I had the whole Facebook thing. Just didn't work out too well. So I mainly Twitter, Instagram.
Okay, so I'm gonna drop. So this is, I think, at Mr. Brooks Jr. That's where we can find you on Twitter or X. The way most people say it, and then right here at Tiger Brooks 01. That's where you can find him. That's the IG. His mama called him Tiger. He's known by Tiger. So this is Coach Tiger Brooks on the Coaches Co-op. Coach Tiger Brooks on the Coaches Co-op. All right, Coach. So you coach boys, you coach girls, you coached under a legend. How did you come about developing your coaching philosophy? So, for lack of a better term, how did Tiger Ball come about?
Man, I took some pieces of different things throughout my life, honestly, because my very first coach was my dad. And at the age of 6, so him and a good friend of his, when I tell you hardcore basketball for a 6-year-old, man, my dad and Coach Shelton had a little half court in his backyard, and every morning, especially in the summers, me and his son, a couple of our other teammates, he had us out there. We called it Camp Shelton. Just anything you could think of, we were doing it. And so so I took some of those habits from a young age. And then obviously Coach Carlisle's attention to detail, I really wanted to implement that. And then what really kind of started my transition from the middle school to high school is actually Chris Johnson when he was at Clear Springs while I was still at Creekside. Just the way he went about preparing his players each day at practice. So I would just take notes and stuff like that. And then once Coach Chandler brought me on to Clear Falls, really is when I started kind of tying it all together, because then I got to finally coach at the high school level, and really working under him kind of tied it all up for me, because the way he talked to the players, his level of discipline, accountability, and then his organization. Those were like the main things I took. And then I always knew that I just believed in playing hard and being aggressive. So I felt like if I can instill that in our athletes, you know, you got to just get down and get dirty. Everything else will fall into place, you know. And I like to have fun when I play basketball. So I try to have fun, let the girls have fun a little bit. My one rule is if you get down and work on defense, we're gonna let that thing fly on offense. So
yeah, I probably need to take that one, you know, and write that one down, you know, just to encourage them. Man, the crazy thing, Coach, is, you know, it does take a little time to build your own philosophy, you know, and you kind of have to. So I want to say for me, it probably took about 6 or 7 years until I was like, okay, this is it. You know, this is it. And the crazy thing is, I would love to play for me because I take kids out of the game for not shooting. You know, like I'm one of the few coaches I know that will pull a kid for not shooting the ball. Like, oh, you don't want to shoot? Come and sit. Of course, we got to work hard on the defensive end, but man, shoot the ball. Every now and then I got to yell it so everybody in the gym knows it.
Yeah.
So everybody in the gym knows that I want that kid to shoot.
Absolutely, man.
So you kind of alluded to your days as a player. You've talked about different coaches that you've had. You even mentioned Chris Johnson. So for those of you who are watching or listening, if y'all don't know who Chris Johnson is, I want to say Chris Johnson Hoops. He's a pro trainer. I remember, man, years ago, it's probably over 10 years ago, I was coaching club ball down there in the League City area. And I used to hear about him all the time because I want to say his wife worked at one of the intermediate schools.
Yeah, she did.
You know, that we used to practice at, you know, and I used to always hear about, yeah, man, her husband is, you know, he's doing this training. He's starting to work with NBA players, you know. So now, man, he is absolutely blown up. So you have had the opportunity, you know, man, to work with some good coaches and see some really, really good stuff. Do you have a Mount Rushmore of coaches?
Oh yeah, let's do that one. I've been thinking about this one actually. Okay. Definitely John Wooden for sure. If you haven't read a John Wooden book or heard anything about John Wooden, you ain't been a coach. I'm just gonna put it like that.
Okay.
Gotta throw my girl Dawn Staley on there. Gotta throw her on there.
Definitely a GOAT.
Gino, big time for me.
It's a good list.
And then Dean Smith, and the reason why I say Dean Smith, and I don't know what it is, it wasn't even just him. I just remember waking up one day and I just was like, I'm a North Carolina Tar Heel fan. I must have been like 9 years old. I don't know if it's because they had the baby blue. I don't know what it was. But ever since then, I was like, Dean Smith is my guy. And so I'm always going to rock with Dean. And then my fifth one, this one's been a tough one for me, but I'm going to steal one from a coach from last week when he said Pat Summitt. I'm definitely going to throw her on the list for sure. When Coach Harris said that, so I was like, yeah, got to throw her on there.
Coach, that's a great list. Dawn, Dean, Gino, Pat, and John Wooden. Man, that is an excellent Mount Rushmore of coaches. And if you think about it, man, each one of those have a different coaching style.
Exactly.
You know, each one of those has the different coaching style. John Wooden is awesome. We actually, our character building lessons this year, we did the pyramid, you know, John Wooden's pyramid.
Okay, yeah.
So, man, just great lessons. Let me ask you this. Do you know what the first thing Coach Wooden would teach his players on the first day of practice?
How to tie their shoes.
Close.
Damn.
How to put their socks on.
Oh.
He would teach them how to put their socks on so they wouldn't get blisters. And then he would teach them how to tie their shoes.
See, I missed that part.
Dude, that part. Man, that is like, when you think about that, it's like, wow.
Exactly.
You know, like I'm going to, when you want to talk about attention to detail. Yeah. So I've noticed that, you know what? Our players, they're getting blisters because XYZ. So the first thing we're going to do on the first day of practice, let me show you how to put your socks on. And then let me show you how to tie your shoes. And me thinking, it's like, you know what? Somebody was probably trying to get out of conditioning
Yeah.
tying their shoes. So it's like,
Yeah.
nah, let me show y'all how to tie these shoes, because we
You
ain't gonna be
know it.
stopping to do all of that. All right, coach, this right here, man, this is one of my favorite questions. This is one of my favorite questions right here. I remember the first time I was out coached. I was coaching JV ball. I still will not say her name, but she definitely out coached me. We were both JV coaches at the time. We both ended up becoming head coaches. I don't know where she is now. She was a head coach in the Houston area. I think she has since left the Houston area. I don't know if she's coaching anymore. But man, when I tell you, she outcoached me. It was bad. It was bad, man. Do you remember the first time you were outcoached?
Ooh, the first time. Oh boy. I'm gonna have to go to a more recent one, because if I go back in time. Man, honestly, every time we just lose, I just feel like I got outcoached that night. It's never the players. It's definitely something I did or didn't do, if we're gonna be honest.
Yeah.
But probably I'd probably go back to the junior high days when I first got into coaching, and you just think it's just easy to go out there and just like, this is what we're gonna do because it worked for me. I know it's gonna work today, and you ain't making no adjustments, and you look up and you just got 40 piece. So definitely my very first junior high game, I definitely got out coached. But if I'm gonna be honest with myself, anytime like we have a bad night, I feel like I got out coached that night. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And coach, man, kudos to you, because I think that is the sign of a good coach. Whenever we can start with self, and that's a great thing. We always got to start with self. One of the things I always tell other people is like, man, even if we get crushed, I'm like, hey, man, we got to coach better.
yeah,
We just, we got to do a better job of coaching. Coach, that's good. I'm pretty sure I know, let me just say, I know that I get out coached every year. I know not every game. Let me not say every game. All right. So if you're watching and listen, I don't get out coached every game. All right. Y'all don't be coming for the job. Okay. We're doing okay. We're doing okay. But I know it happens. And, because we want to, something Coach Harris alluded to, man, we want to play the best of the best. We want to play the best teams in the greater Houston area and then surrounding areas, so that's why, that's one of the reasons I vividly, remember losing to you guys, because when you came onto the scene, you had success immediately at Clearbrook and then moved over to Deer Park and had some good teams, so I always take that as a challenge, so Coach, you're doing a great job over there. Coach, oh man, you're welcome. You're welcome. How do you sleep during the season?
Oh, I can't even spell sleep during the season. And the one good thing, as a matter of fact, I was talking to my assistant coaches about this on our way back from the clinic. I like the fact that I didn't move to Deer Park, so it's about a 25, 27-minute drive for me. So during the season, it's nice because I know after a game, everybody's at home is already asleep. So it gives me time to kind of debrief, and kind of just cool myself down, whether it's a win or a loss. And then by the time I get home, I'll usually stay up and watch the film, but now with a more clear head, as opposed to, if you live close, as soon as you get home, just every bad thing you could think of went wrong, you overanalyzing everything. And so, I'll probably, during the season, if I can get a good 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night, that's good. But it's some nights it's 2, 3, 4, because it's like I'm just ready to get back after it the next day and try to fix everything as much as I can. And it's just, I don't sleep.
Man,
Just can't do it.
Yeah, it's a grind, Coach. It is a grind, and we play from October to Valentine's Day. If we're lucky, we get almost all the way up to spring break if we're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a grind. It is a grind. I'm gonna tell you the crazy thing though. The longer I coach, for some reason, man, the better I sleep. I don't know what it is. When I first started coaching, man, I'm talking about sleep was minimal, but every year, man, it seems like I sleep a little bit better. I don't know what's going on there, but that's crazy. All right, coach, couple things, and then we're going to get ready to pivot. If you could be anything other than a coach, what would you be?
Man, I'm gonna hit you with two, either a lawyer or like a movie star.
Okay.
Talk about the movie star. The lawyer one, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I just like to argue, sometimes to prove my point. Half the time I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I'm just gonna argue with you anyways because I didn't agree with what you just said. And then the movie star, man, I just feel like
go ahead. Before you go to the movie star, coach, hold on.
Right.
Now you did mention that you're married with two young ladies in the house.
I don't argue with them.
Are you okay? I was gonna ask, I was like, are you winning arguments at home? Okay.
Nah.
Not only that's a lawyer, because he knows when and who to argue with. That's good stuff, coach.
What they say, happy wife, happy life, man.
Man, happy wife, happy life. All right, coach, movie star. Talk about that.
I don't know. When I was a kid, I just feel like I could be doing some of the stuff they're doing. I know. I don't know. I just feel like I could be a movie star. I don't know why. I just feel like I could be.
All right. So, you go on, you have this great coaching career, right? All these accolades, you impact many lives. They're going to make a movie about, your life. Who plays Tiger Brooks?
All right, my boy. Only because he got to coach a little football in his show, my boy Tay Diggs.
Okay.
Come on, man.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that because a couple of kids tried to tell me we look alike, and I was like, I don't look like the dude. Yes, Billy Baker had the shaved head, no, you know what I'm saying? But I have to go with him because I feel like he could really portray me the right way.
Okay, so we're talking to Coach T. Brooks, and the T is not stand for Tiger, it stands for Tay.
Yeah, let's go.
Coach, that's good stuff. All right, Coach, before we get ready to pivot, who has the tougher job, in your opinion, coaches or officials? Who's got it tougher?
As a coach, I'm going to say coach, but the more I really think about it, other referees definitely have a tougher job than us. And I say that because as a coach, I mean, either the kid's going to perform or not, or we going to put him in the best situation possible. As a referee, you got to deal with me. You got to deal with the other coach. And then every parent in the stands swears they know everything. So you got to deal with all them people. And then you got to deal with the players. It's a lot going on. At least for me, or us as coaches, we only got to deal with our kids and maybe the referee making a call that we don't agree with here or there. But you got everybody at your throat as a referee. Everybody. I wouldn't. I did it once. I'll never do it again.
The crazy thing, Coach, is I've been thinking about, getting into some officiating, just to kind of see what it's like. I don't know. I have a lot of respect for them. Whether they believe me or not, I do.
Who do you think? Who do you think?
Oh man, no. Usually I ask the question. Nobody's asked me.
My bad.
You know what? No, that's good, Coach. That's good. Put me on the spot. I appreciate that. I'm gonna say coaches.
Okay.
Just because of when that 7:00 game ends and those officials leave, their night is over.
That is true.
Our night doesn't end there, right? Man, there's been game nights where I make sure everybody's gone, right? Everybody's gone. All the kids are gone. Make sure do a gym walkthrough. Make sure nobody's left anything in the gym from our team or the opposing team. And I sit down, make sure, the film is uploaded correctly before I go. And there's been nights when ding, I get an email that comes through from a parent, from a parent about whatever, So, just things like that. I think at the end of the night, the officials go home. Their night's over. Man, our night is not over. Like you mentioned, you get home and you watch film. Man, one of the things I do sleep well, but most nights, because with the technology now with Huddle, that film is uploaded ASAP. Most nights, man, I sit in the bed and I watch the game before I go to sleep because I'm thinking about A, B, C, and D. So I got to go back and see, okay, is this what I think I saw? So I got to do all of those things. So I'm not saying officials don't have a tough job, but I think as coaches, I think our job is tougher, just because it doesn't end when that final horn goes off, So we definitely need to do a better job of, I think respecting officials and, getting our parents on board. And, officials are going to make bad calls, man. It is going to happen. Coaches aren't going to coach a perfect game. The officials aren't going to officiate a perfect game. The players aren't going to play a perfect game. So I think we overall, as a basketball community can do a little bit better job there. All right, Coach, listen, before we go on to the next segment, all right, I want everybody out there listening and watching to like, subscribe, and sign up for these notifications if you're watching on YouTube. If you choose to listen to this podcast, I want you to go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating and then tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Coach Brooks, it is crunch time. You know what that means, man. We're coming down to the end of this thing. It's winding down. Crunch time consists of 3 things, 3 in the key, 2 shots, and 1. So we're going to start with 3 in the key. Coach Brooks, give us 3 things that all coaches need.
Strong support system, man. Gotta have a great support system. Because they're, like you said, like we talked about earlier, the late nights, especially those of us with kids, somebody gotta hold it down while you out there getting your grind on. So definitely a strong support system, whether it's family, friends, children, whatever. Definitely feel like you gotta have a knowledgeable mentor, somebody you can go to ask questions, lean on, because constantly trying to learn and get better. So, I love asking questions of people that I have a lot of respect for, regardless of age or anything. If I I like to just keep my knowledge growing. And then great assistance, because, there's going to be some times where you're not going to have the answer and you need to be able to look to your left or your right and be able to know that they can come up with some solutions for you. But also, your assistant coaches kind of can pick up the pieces, especially on those days when you just haven't had enough. Then they come in and clean up the mess for you a little bit. So definitely those 3 things I think are important for coaches to have.
That's good stuff right there. A great support system, a knowledgeable mentor, and then great assistance. So, Coach, I thought you hit the nail on the head when you said a knowledgeable mentor, not just a mentor, but a knowledgeable mentor. So, who is your mentor?
I had a couple actually, and they kind of varied throughout life, but my dad, number one for sure, like that's always, and simply because not even from a coaching standpoint, more for a leadership standpoint. My dad, was an engineer and he was a plant supervisor, so he had to lead. So I would always go to him when it came to dealing with leadership type stuff, and he'd always give me some advice on how to deal with other adults and then dealing with people that I'm overseeing that are under me, and trying to make sure I do my best to lead in the right direction. And then Darren Chandler's another mentor of mine. Like I said, just to be able to get my foot in the door at the high school level, and then been fortunate to work under him. And now I'm back working under him again. He's our AD over here at Deer Park. And then my kind of a spiritual mentor, Dave Ward, he kind of kept me grounded, especially when I was getting all the no's. He just always reminded me, like, your time's going to come, just constantly just pray. And when the Lord's ready for you to take on this step, he'll give it to you. And so he's always kind of been in my corner through this whole time process of becoming a head coach. And he was kind of the first person to call me whenever I got my very first head coaching job. And so those are my three mentors, man.
That's good. That's good. You mentioned having a spiritual mentor that helped you when you got the no's. Talk about that just for a minute before we go on, because having experience being told no, especially when you want something, as far as career advancement goes or career achievements, and then you don't get it, and then you have to deal with being told no. What are some of the things you did to kind of get through that? You know, what are some of the things your mentor helped you with?
Man, the early no's, it got to a point for me where I was like, maybe coaching just isn't for me, you know. So I kind of start questioning myself, and I was fortunate enough that Dave and I worked together at Clear Falls when I was getting most of my interviews. And then, you know, once I got the first one, leading up to that first one, again, he would just always call and check on me. He's like, how'd your interview go, whatnot. And I was like, man, I just feel like I'm so close. And but it's just a constant reminder that it's not necessarily anything I'm doing wrong. It could just be it's just not the right time, or maybe, you know, it wasn't even the right place for me to be at. So the more I was able to start putting that kind of thing into perspective, it kind of made the no's easier to deal with. I guess the worst part of it was whenever they tell you, like, man, you're one of the better interviews, but you know, how the experience, well, how do I get the experience, you know? But
Right.
yeah, man, then
Right.
once you get that first yes, and then you're like, you think it's easy until that first time you got to do all this stuff. And you're like, wait a minute, this ain't what I thought it was. It's not just coaching games. It's managing emotions.
That's right.
It's like all the
That's
extra.
right.
And I tell people all the time, we don't really get to just coach. It's more, I feel like the majority part of our job is being a counselor, a dad, a big brother, you know, just everything besides X's and O's. And I think, and I'll mention that later, but yeah, you know, just keep my eye on the prize and just understanding that when it's my time to do it, it'll be my time.
No, that's good. And the reason I asked you that is because I know somebody's going to come behind us, and is going to need to hear that. You know, I know somebody is going to need to hear that, because especially if you're in the greater Houston area, and the
Mhm.
basketball here is so good. The coaches here are outstanding, right? And there's only so many 6A jobs in the state of Texas. There's only so many 6A jobs here in Houston, right? There's
Mhm.
only so many 5A jobs, right? And then as you kind of start getting a little further away from the greater Houston area, you know, some of the jobs get smaller, but it's competitive. You know,
Oh
it's
yeah.
competitive. And, you know, getting the interview, winning the interview, winning the job, those things are difficult. And sometimes we're going to be told no. So, you know, I know somebody's going to come behind us that needs to hear that. That's good stuff right there, coach. All right. So that was 3 in the key. This brings us to 2 shots. 2 of the foulest things you've experienced as a coach. Coach, you got 2 things right here that are, man, wow. That's all I'm going to say. So
Yeah,
2 shots,
man.
coach. 2 of the foulest things you've ever experienced. What you got?
I'm not gonna drop any names on this one, but the first one, just, man, you know, just when you get disrespected to a certain level, because I'm just a firm believer. At the end of the day, we're all in this for the same reason. That's to, you know, help these young athletes grow, learn, get to whatever they're trying to get to. So, you know, I just feel like it should never be anything personal. But yeah, man, I had a coach kind of, you know, call me out of my name a little bit during the game. Wasn't even the head coach at the time, just an assistant coach. So it just, you know, it is what it is. Can't
And
gotta
that makes
I
that
just
makes a little more sense there, because sometimes, you know, sometimes as assistants, they know you know better, but you don't know better. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? You know, oh man, golly,
But you know, I
bro,
just
you
at
got
that
great.
moment I was like, just take the wheel. We're gonna go and get through this one because I can't, you know. But the second one, man,
You got great
this
strength.
second one made me laugh. This one made me laugh. This was at a scrimmage. My this was last season as my first year at Deer Park. Man, you know, when you go to a school, you're trying to implement your style of play. So, you know, you figuring things out. So it don't always look the way it's gonna look later. The beginning
Right,
stage is what we
right.
wanted. As people saw later in the season, we found some success. But this referee, I was asking, I was like, hey, I just simply asked, I was like, hey, look, like, what do I need to tell my girls to do? Because, you know, we try to draw charges, whatever. And instead of answering the question, he was like, Coach, man, it don't matter if I call a foul or not. That's not gonna help you at all this season. I was just like, flabbergasted at that point. I was like, I don't see what that has to do with the situation. I like to tell my girls, hey, you were late, you slapped down, you weren't stationed. I don't know, whatever the case may be. But the funny thing, the reason why it makes me laugh now is the same guy ended up reffing one of our games later in the season. And he kept looking at me like he could recognize me. I didn't say nothing to him, and he was just like, man, coach, y'all looking really good. And I was like, oh, that's funny, because I swear about 2 months ago, you were like, it don't matter what we do this season, it's not going to be good for us. He's like, I said that. I was like, yeah, man, but it's all good. It's no love lost, man. So,
Coach, you have extraordinary restraint, because that guy never would have officiated a game for me ever.
I didn't know his name, because you know that scrimmage, you don't get to see the ref list. But I have not. He has never reffed it, because after that game, I did get to figure out his name. I did put him on my forever scratch list. But your statement about restraint, I'm not gonna lie to you. About 10 years ago, we'd be having a different conversation.
That's that age. That's that age and wisdom right there.
And kids.
That's that age and wisdom, and children also, man. Children, they really change your life. Coach, those are 2 foul things, man. 2 shots. All right, coach, here we go. And one thing. This can be anything that you want to share. Okay, before we exit, we call this and one. The floor is yours.
Man, to really just all of our fellow coaches, whether you're head coach, assistant, young, old, just remember, man, like what our end game is, and that it may not always seem like it's a reward what we're doing. It may seem like it's hard, but at the end of the day, if you just do what you know is right in your heart, then you're doing it the right way. And don't let anybody tell you any different. Don't let anybody discourage you from pursuing this. Yes, it has its downs, but the rewards are definitely when you get to see your kids graduate, and those that get the opportunity to play at the next level. Just there's a big reward at the end of it. So yeah, just keep the love, keep grinding, enjoy every moment, because it'll be over before you know it.
Listen, man, coach, that is definitely the truth. You dropped a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom. Coach, you dropped a lot of wisdom today. And a lot of people don't know this, but they think that all we have to do is coach. You mentioned that earlier. The most important thing I did today, I got a kid she's undergoing ACL surgery in the morning.
Ooh.
And she is just nervous, man. It's all get out. So the most important thing I did today was give that kid a hug. You know, just man. That, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't know that is one of the most important things that we do, because y'all, this has been the Coaches Co-op, and I need y'all to understand that what we do is a labor of love. It's a labor of sharing. That's why we come here to the Co-op. I'm your host, Coach P. Tiger Brooks has been with us today, and what we just did was we pulled back the curtain to give y'all a look at this amazing coach who is shaping the world of athletics. Listen, y'all, we're getting ready to get out of here. Again, I'm Coach P for Coach Tiger Brooks, and I need to remind y'all that coaches do what most people can't. I need y'all to make sure that y'all never, ever forget that, y'all. All right, we out of here, y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for listening.